We're rolling.
So, we've been working on a series in order to facilitate you getting the tools you need to help with the talent and skills you already possess to get through a disruption in the routine, if you will, in good fashion, in good form. So part of the sequencing of events as they're unfolding is when a shortcut comes up, when a trigger comes up to activate your awareness, to get you out of the ditch of despair or doubt or confusion or hesitation, you take it. You use those shortcuts because they're important. The problem with using shortcuts, and this is gonna be a series of shortcuts I'm gonna share with you in this campfire. And I'm not even sure what to call this video yet because the concept is so foreign to most people in their traditional training. Not until they become usually executive level or professor level in the methodology that they follow, whether it's business or education or chemistry or motorcycle maintenance. You get this intuition about you and you see systems have trends and patterns. And we're going to kind of dip into that a little bit. So what am I talking about? Well, let's say you're stressed, you're driving, and it's one of those typical situations where you're driving along and you're in a hurry. You're going maybe a little too fast, but you're still going to make it with 2 minutes to spare. But don't you know it? You hit every red light. Not only that, but there's that little blue-haired old individual in the 1971 Dodge Dart who could barely see over the steering wheel. Bless her soul. She could be our grandmother, but she's in the way. It's that mood, you know. Well, you know you're not at your best game in that mood. Your frustration hobbles you. It diminishes your awareness, your overall awareness. You might be tunneled like a laser beam or a hungry shark on that objective, but you're missing everything else, including perhaps the cop in the turnaround just over the break of the hill and all of the indicator brake lights going off before you even get there, and so you get a ticket. So a shortcut or a trigger to help you relax into that alpha state, that relaxed but aware, creative, problem-solving state, is a deep cleansing breath. Hold it for 4 seconds, and there's all kinds of things that teach this already, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. As you relax, let your eyes go soft until you're using the entirety of your wide-angle vision. Use your side view mirrors and then push beyond that as you're driving. See if you can't notice and detect all of the motion around you, to include what's in your rear view mirror. One more breath. Again, if you want to do 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, whatever works for you. But in that exhale, now you're going to relax all of your musculature and ligaments, all of the tendons, all of the skeletal connectivity, and you're going to relax it as you're driving from the top down into the floor, and just smudge all of that dis-ease out through the floorboards. Maybe picture it like black tar. And then the final breath, as you release, you're going to push your senses out until you can feel your heart beating in your chest. To do that, you're listening in a sphere 3 miles out beyond the cab of your car. I know it sounds crazy, but really push your sense of hearing out that far in your mind, and it's going to do its best to reach your expectation. By the way, that's kind of another shortcut. But when the point comes where you're pushing all of your senses out, and I'm not listening for the hum of traffic or the helicopter, I'm not listening for the distant sound of the bustle of the city or the ocean. No. I'm listening for the silences in between all of those sounds. Now, I'm still in wide-angle vision, but now I'm pushing my brain to get more engaged. The textures, the shadows, the shapes, the patterns, if there are any. As things scroll by in your vision, your new panoramic vision, do you see the undulating roll of the geology of that area by the way the trees grow, and then the sudden break when there's a golf course or a farm? Drinking all of these things in through your senses faster than thought. Your skin, the largest sensory organ of our body, We are an antenna array with all of these countless nerve endings expanding outward in every direction. Yeah, sure, how the seat feels against your body as you press against it, but also the quality of the air inside the cab. Roll down your window, maybe. Feel the sun directly on your arm as you hang it out the window, and the way the wind curls and caresses through the webbing of your fingers and up your forearm. See if you can't sense the hairs on your arm feeding you information about wind velocity, the moisture content of the air, things that would be important to our ancestors for approaching game, or knowing you could light a fire quickly or not, or that it's going to smoke heavy or be smokeless. When your senses are amped to that point and you're relaxed and feel your heart beating, you're no longer projecting like a beacon. Instead, you're receiving information fully present with no disabling story attached. So there's your shortcut. It would call it, the way it was taught to me, and the way I'm passing it to you, is it's the breath to heart trigger. Warning, you use these shortcuts too often, they'll stop working for you. Your logical mind is used to being in charge. We've developed it to the point where it's a spoiled brat. And we first have to learn to silence it, but then once it's silenced, once we can do that often, just this shortcut, then we can turn it off at will. But it takes about 2 or 3 years of working this skill of quieting your mind, coming to your senses, and then inviting it back on as the navigator, the problem solver, right? We're moving from what wakes us up in the morning, the passion we have for life, the thing that we enjoy being, doing, expressing. And the rest of the stuff that we're doing is to support that end, or else we're not at our best for the people we love the most, let alone ourselves or anybody that we're working for. And when you're walking in that with your senses open and your creativity flowing and your problem solving at its peak, and your memory and your ability to distinguish small movements or detail, I mean, that's being at your highest form. Well, who doesn't want to be that way? But now, especially during this pandemic, you want to be at the top of your game, right? So there's one shortcut, the breath to heart. The second one, and I'm not going to do any more than 2 because people don't have the attention span to watch these things for more than 2.5 minutes. So most people have already tuned out. Is when you have these waypoints that we talked about, I don't know, 2 videos ago, where you set your ecological ideal. What are some of the symptoms of your ecological ideal? And put them out in stages of evolution from where you are now to where you would love it to be. My ecological ideal has always been that my children are healthy, independently owned and operated individuals with lots of compassion. And I still am, unapologetically obsessed to that end. With every living breath I have that piece in the background hum of the bass line. It doesn't ever go away. And sometimes that means challenging them or walking away when they ask for things, sometimes when they ask for help, so that they can kind of pull themselves up on their own and then have some pride in their accomplishment afterwards. Well, when things happen to you, here's the shortcut, that are challenges, that are overwhelming, unexpected. I lost my job, I'm not getting paychecks. How are we going to pay the bills, the house payments? Go to that breath to surrender. Read the landscape with your antenna array. You'll immediately realize that everybody's in the same boat. Half of them probably worse, half of them probably better, but we're all feeling it. Okay, that helps, but it doesn't really help. Right. So work on this for yourself. You're the instrument of your own problem solving. What were the emotions that came in that knocked you on your butt? Why did you have them? What specifically threatens you about the situation you're in? And then what are you going to do about it? So you've identified the problem through all of the emotional swirliness that tends to block judgment, cloud your awareness, debilitates your problem solving, right? So that's a warning. That's like a siren going off, that emotion. All right, you've recognized it. Now just let it go. That emotion was very helpful, and you can bring it back on if you're finding yourself watching too much Netflix and not working on solutions, being proactive before the problem becomes a real problem. Make it fun, make it creative. Once it starts to get frustrating, stop, walk away, digest. You may be going in a wrong direction. You may be overseeing a big picture and missing some very critical little pieces to it. So let it go and then come back. So those are your two. The breath to heart, and then amping an evolutionary series of waypoints towards those ecological ideals in areas where you feel the most threatened or nervous. Yeah, work on those things. Have fun with it. Hopefully you'll put something in the comments that maybe some of you have done this before. See you on the trail.